Well, hello there. It's another day. I'm Jim Harrington.
And I am Bill Knight. This week is speeding by.
It is indeed. And now that the day is behind us, so to speak.
You went there. I didn't. I didn't go there.
I'm going to point something out. Yesterday was an interesting day in that I had something which I would highly recommend to everybody who is past the age of 45. You may say 45. Well, it used to be 50, but they've actually lowered it because I think my doctor said he thinks it's because of the diets that we have, nowadays. We eat junk food and stuff like that. But I had a colonoscopy. I've had one before, but I had one yesterday. It's not a pleasant procedure in that you don't look forward to it. It's not something where, I can't wait to have my colonoscopy. It is not, but it's not something you can't get through. But here's the thing that I thought was interesting. I wanted specifically to say it to everybody out there who listens to our program. And I'm not going to make this a program about colonoscopies, but the interesting thing was you can't tell you have a problem in your colon unless you do this procedure. They have home tests, which are good, and it gives you a little signal as you may have a problem. But the real way of finding out whether you have an issue is to do this colonoscopy. And fortunately, in my case, it all went well. I was glad it's behind me.
I'm not even saying
I know, but
I am not saying
and I was thinking I haven't seen my doctor who does this procedure. I haven't seen him in like 6 years.
Oh, he's seen you. Boy, I've seen you. Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen him in like 6 years, and I thought, will he recognize me? Then I thought, wait a second, Jim. With his job, he probably never recognizes anybody because he doesn't see their face. But anyway, in all seriousness, don't be afraid of doing this. It's one day of discomfort, but it truly could save your life. I don't know whether you know this or not. Katie Couric lost her husband to colon cancer. And
I remember when she got married.
Yeah, and she said that she and her husband both said had they done a colonoscopy at the right time, it might have saved his life. And she's a big proponent of this test. And as a matter of fact, one time she took this test on the Today program. She did have a colonoscopy, and it could save your life. So that's I wanted to pass that along. But an interesting thing happened as a result of this. My cohort in crime here, Mr. Knight.
Oh, geez.
He is the tech guru of our duo.
No, I am not.
Well, compared to me. Okay? Compared to me, you're the tech guru. So he sends me this thing yesterday, a well-written story. He said, I generated this in 6 seconds. I said, what? And you read this thing, and it was a well-written article.
Which you knew I couldn't have done.
It was amazing. And so he says, this is my AI software. And I just tried it out, and it's amazing. And what did we just do a little while ago? Just on a lark, just before the program. What was the topic that we were going to talk about?
Well, what was top of your mind, which, came to the top of your head? You wanted colonoscopy.
Yeah.
And you gave me the heading, the story,
yeah,
and then the three taglines as if we were going to write or set up a blog. And so it gave you, in less than 6 seconds, I think it was in 3 seconds.
Yeah.
It gave you a script.
Let me give you just an example of how it goes. We called it The Day After the Colonoscopy. That was the title of the blog. And then the subtitle on the first paragraph was, it was a test I dreaded. And it said, and this is what the computer generated in 3 seconds. Finally, the day after the colonoscopy has arrived, you made it through the procedure and can now take a breath of relief. But what should you expect during the crucial recovery period? Whether you're eager to bounce back or seeking some tips on easing discomfort, we've got you covered. In this blog post, we'll explore everything from post-colonoscopy care to dietary recommendations and even share a few humor-filled anecdotes to lighten the mood. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into what lies ahead for your day after colonoscopy journey. This was generated, that paragraph was generated in under 3 seconds by a computer.
And 2 others with it.
Yeah.
And 2 others with it.
Now, they're having a writer's strike in Los Angeles. And they're striking for more money and stuff like that too. But that's actually the issue. The real issue that has the writers in Hollywood upset is computer-generated screenplays and teleplays. And you may say, well, can they do that? Bill and I were just looking. I did a quick search. They have all sorts of screenplay AI-generated programs.
Yeah.
You can say, I want to write a screenplay about a cow that drives a bus. This AI program will figure out how to write a screenplay about a cow that drives a bus. And this is the thing that has, and it should have, writers all over the world and creative people petrified. Because, it's a business. And if a greedy producer says, I can get whatever story I want with my AI program that I pay X amount of dollars for and never have to pay another writer again. No royalties, no upfront money, no deals.
Now, I'll tell you, this program has a plagiarism checker. Now, they say in an article that's generated, because, some people will look to other articles to get ideas. So does the computer do the same thing? Yes and no, in the fact that it will check for plagiarism. Now, if you've got between 1 and 5%, that is considered excellent. If you've got 6 to 10%, acceptable. Anything above that, don't run it.
Mm-hmm.
That came in at 0%. The thing I sent you came in at 0%.
So what you're saying is that
Boston yesterday,
if
0%.
If I were a college kid and I were writing a term paper, and
I generate it, check it for plagiarism. If it's not plagiarized, it's yours, baby.
And they can't tell. I mean, I couldn't tell. That's that paragraph that I just read to you folks. Like Bill, it was done at your finger snap is slower. I was going to say it at the snap of a finger, but it generated it so quickly, and you wonder, how does it do it? But it's a computer. It literally searches the internet for ideas and then puts it all together in under a second.
Do you know when I programmed? And I don't want to get into a radio thing, but you write promos.
Yeah,
it could be a news station, a radio rock station. I could put WXYZ, and that would be my heading.
Yeah,
and then everything that rocks. That could be my title, and it would write
a promo,
a little paragraph of what you could say
about
it. And I could sit there and say, "Here you go, buddy. Record that for me." To the voice guy.
You could,
boom.
Your subtitles could be "Nothing's funnier than Bill Knight in the morning." That could be the subtitle.
Yeah.
And it will do a paragraph on Bill Knight in the morning. Middays are great with Jim Harrington, and an afternoon drive. Go home with so-and-so. And
you could write the promos of a lifetime.
Where was this 50 years ago?
I mean, you know how big of a guy I would have been in the industry. And I'm not
giant.
Fat,
a
but
giant.
Boy, where does he come up with this stuff?
But the thing is, Bill, the whole world we live in now is one huge computer. It's all essentially a lie. How do we know, for example, the stuff coming out of Washington isn't just computer generated? What if they're running on a computer generated plan right now in Washington? What if the deep state, what if the people who are trying to change our country didn't take a computer and say, okay, I want to change the form of government, right? So
it would tell you how to do it.
Step by step.
How to eliminate the First Amendment. Boom, that thing would generate an article. How to get rid of the Second Amendment. Boom, it would generate a story.
Oh, my God.
With the information that you would need to at least go on your merry little way and probably get away with it.
So, folks, this great technological advancement that we've created, computers, we're now at a point where it's starting to turn around and bite us.
Well, what you have is a machine that, we say remember history, which you should know from where you came. But this machine is the sum of all knowledge. Mm-hmm. And when you have the power of the sum of all knowledge that can formulate a thought from all the knowledge of history in the world within a microsecond.
Oh my gosh. It is scary.
So it's amazing.
It's awe-inspiring. You just can't believe it. What an advancement. But then it's frightening what it can do. I mean, if you wanted to put in there how to get rid of Christianity in the United States.
It's happening right now. They're dividing it right now. And I'm wondering if somebody's not writing, Christianity is faltering. That's all they have to say, and then boom, it's going to write an article based on that. And I generated, Trump will win 2024, and it generated a big long dissertation. Now it did put a disclaimer saying, although we can't predict the outcome, it gave a lot of positive hope in the way it was written. I was like going, oh damn, that's pretty good.
Folks, the reason why we're talking about all this stuff, and I started out with me telling you about my procedure yesterday, but that was for real. You should, if you're over 50.
Is a serious thing.
Yeah, if you're over 50, that's something you should consider doing, whether you want to or not. Nobody wants to, but you really should think about doing it. But the other thing is this. We went from that discussion this morning into the discussion on AI. And that was just eye-opening. When you think about the fact that there's a possibility we're living in a world that just can't be trusted.
Right.
I mean, we don't even know for real if the news stories around the globe that we're hearing about are legitimate. I mean, odds are they are, but we don't know. We're taking these news stories. We don't know whether we're being fed lie after lie after lie over and over again.
Well, probably so. I mean, like I said, for that computer to sit there and go, well, okay, this is my task. It has to reference some base of knowledge, some form of thought. So it's got the sum of all knowledge, and it can take, examples of everything, then it forms it into a thought.
I've got, this is the screenwriter in me. I like to write screenplays. That's why I did that search. Who's to say that at some point the computers don't turn on us and, for example, start to generate false police records on Bill Knight and to literally maybe make him a wanted man when he's not a wanted man? For example, if somebody wants to get rid of me or you, right, and has access to these kind of programs in government, can they literally change your life in the snap of a finger?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't tested that, and I would be afraid to use myself as an example because then, the thing that I worry about, everything that we do, it goes to a master.
No, but let's say the FBI wanted to go break into your house.
Well, they could.
All they would have, and they could literally, in the snap of a finger, create a whole history on Bill Knight.
Sure.
That justifies them breaking into your house. Mm-hmm. Well, we have this police record from so-and-so.
Rap sheet.
A long rap sheet that didn't even exist.
So we got 91 indictments on Trump.
Exactly. For all we know, they could have been created by an AI.
Well, all they got to do is Trump steals top secret documents while he's president, which he has the right to declassify, but, somebody writes it up. And now I got to tell you, the way some of these things are written that are coming out of, Jack Smith and everybody, they're coming up with the idea, but they're not really formulating it legally, and they got a lot of flaws in it.
Well, it could be AI generated, Bill. That could be also the weakness of garbage in, garbage out,
Yeah. Who knows? But it is interesting that you have that. I mean, it is a valuable tool, if you're looking to do something. But, why would you have something like this? It's computer language. But, if you're generating a website or you want traffic, your website is a computer program. So it's an AI, a computer talking to a computer.
Speaking of computers, story out of Pennsylvania. This is interesting. You probably heard of it. Pennsylvania Democratic Governor Josh Shapiro yesterday announced his state will automatically register people to vote while they get their driver's license.
Pennsylvania, it is National Voter Registration Day. And today, I am proud to announce that for the first time ever, Pennsylvania is an automatic voter registration state. That's right. From now on, when you get or renew your driver's license or an ID card at the DMV, you'll be registered to vote unless you choose not to. I made a commitment when I was campaigning for this office that we would bring automatic voter registration to Pennsylvania and break down the barriers for legal, eligible voters. This is a key step to make our elections more secure, adding important levels of verification to the voter registration process. And by expanding voter registration at our DMVs, we'll save taxpayers time and money, reduce the number of costly paper registrations, and streamline voter registration for Pennsylvanians. Look, this is common sense. You already provide proof of identity, residency, age, and citizenship at the DMV. All the information you need to register to vote. We're making our state government work better for the good people of Pennsylvania. No matter who you choose to vote for or what your views are, I hope you'll make your voice heard. Now more than ever, we need an engaged citizenry to move our country and our Commonwealth forward.
This is a lie. Go ahead.
Crock of crap.
Yeah, it really is.
Look.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, you go into the DMV, you're renewing your license, and let's say you're not registered to vote. Do you want to register to vote? I don't care. It's no big deal. Okay. So now they got a Democrat on the roll. Well, yeah, but they don't have my ID. Well, no, but they can actually sit there and have somebody go in. I forgot my ID. Oh, do you have, can you tell me your birth date, your social security number? Give me some kind of, thing on you. How old is your kid? Oh, yeah. You have that information right there. Okay. Boom. Democrat vote or Republican vote. So they're doing that. And if you say, no, don't want to register, who's to say, yeah, okay. And somebody afoot there doesn't go ahead and register you anyway. And again, they've got all your vitals to sit there and vote for you on your behalf.
Well, that's true. But and the other thing is this: what are they giving illegals in these different states?
Driver's licenses.
That's right. So if you're an illegal in Pennsylvania or Massachusetts or states like that, you're going to get a voter registration done for you. That means that you, as an illegal illegal person, you'll be able to vote in our elections.
And the other thing is, he said that number one, you mentioned not all of them are citizens. None of them are. That's number one, and you have to be a citizen to vote. So that was lie number one. Lie number two, we already got all your information. In other words, you've been vetted. Well, actually, for the illegal citizens here to get a driver's license, to get around, they don't need all that information.
Well,
so that was lie number two. So that needs to be challenged in the state of Pennsylvania. And we live here, but there's a lot of weird things going on in the news in Pennsylvania. Even with the school system. I mean, I forget what county it is. One of the students organized a walkout in the school and kind of shut them down for the day because they didn't like the fact of what the school was saying about transgenders using the girls' room or whatever bathroom they wanted to. They said, no, boys are boys and girls are girls. And that's what the students were saying. And the girls don't want these guys coming in. Oh, I'm just wait a second. Like
so the students are the mature ones here, and the school committee is the immature. Yeah. Well.
Yeah. And then, there's been gun violence and threats going on all over the place. Pennsylvania is one of them. A lot of the schools in this end of the state shut down, I think it was Monday, because of massive bomb threats at schools. So, which never came to, but, they get a bomb threat, they got to shut them down. So all these schools were closed Monday because somebody on a massive level that was taken seriously said, I'm going to blow up a school today that won't be named. Well, yesterday they named a school. It's the one right down the street. So they had to shut down.
Yeah. Wow.
And I'm like going, and this is all, there's a reason for this. This is not just a wacko. This is, I'm thinking, politically motivated. It is. There's a lot of tests going on.
Yeah. Another interesting thing happened yesterday. There's a podcast by a comedian named Tim Dillon, I believe his name is.
Yes, yeah. He's a comedian, yeah.
Yeah, he has Robert Kennedy Jr. and his wife, Cheryl Hines, on as guests. And, I'll let him tell you what happened, okay? This is Tim Dillon.
RFK Jr. on today is running for president, and his wife, Cheryl Hines. 30 minutes into the podcast, we did have a weird blackout in the studio. It's never happened before. I've been podcasting about 7 years. This has never happened. It was strange. It happened in the middle of the episode. We lost about 15 good minutes, and then we got back to it.
The reason why this struck a chord with me and Bill is because in the past, 2 weeks, we've been interrupted maybe 4 times while we've been trying to do the program.
We have blackouts, and so I'm not surprised. But with Kennedy, there's already, they won't give him protection of the Secret Service, which is wrong.
Right.
He's a candidate, and he's a strong candidate.
And he's a candidate too. He's
a candidate too, and they won't give him that. And then you have a blackout where he goes. That would scare the bajoons out of me. Yeah. But the simple fact is, right now, you got a letter in the mail.
Yeah, I did. I got a letter from our cable company. I'm not going to mention the name of the cable company because they already have enough publicity. It says, as our team works to make these enhancements, you can expect service outages. This downtime will affect all of your blank services, the company's name. And if you are a voice customer, you will not be able to call 911 from your wired phone line either. And it goes on and on. It says we'll let you know down the road when we have a more specific date as to these interruptions. But the thing that gets me about this is, by the way, I will continue to obviously have to pay them for the whole month. They'll interrupt my service maybe for 1, 2, 3, who knows how many days. But are they just trying to warm up for outages? For internet outages? Is this something? This is one company. I wonder if you're going to get a letter similar to this in the next few days from your service, Bill, up where you are.
I don't know, but it could happen. And if it does, now I do have one of those hotspots, those private things. That's the whole thing. We don't need to get into.
Well, actually, that's an interesting thing. We should point out. I didn't realize this technology really was that reliable.
It's been around for years.
Yeah. But apparently you can buy these little devices, they're not terribly expensive, that allow you to connect to the internet without going through your internet provider, your main internet provider.
It has its own private number, and then most people know that their phone has a hotspot on it. It's like a phone, but it's not a phone. You can't make a phone call on it and say, "Hey, sis, what you up to?" But when you turn it on, it automatically routes into the system. And it generates a Wi-Fi signal that you've password protected, so you have signal. And some of these things get up to 400 megabytes a second. So they're pretty powerful.
So if you are somebody working from home and you rely on the internet, and all of a sudden you get a letter like I got yesterday saying, hey, expect to have some outages, but no big deal. We'll get you up as fast as we can, but we can't tell you exactly how long these outages will last for. If you have one of these devices, you can go around your provider and stay connected, which is a good thing. I told you he was a technical wizard. He really is. He's amazing. But so this thing with Robert Kennedy, he has an outage. When we had outages, it was like someone was listening to our program, and halfway through they pulled the plug. Usually when you have an outage, there's some sort of a warning. You can almost tell things start to, there's some interruptions, or there's some stuttering in the audio or something like that. But this, every time we've gone off recently, it's like someone in the control room goes, I don't want to hear any more of this, and off it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all he's got to say, and there ain't no more.
But anyway, we live in interesting times. And by the way, we were warned by a number of different reliable sources not too long ago that we can expect to go into a period of technical unreliability, that you can expect the internet to go down, that you can expect there to be outages, and you know, maybe they're trying to pretend it's no big deal, just relax. Who knows? You know, maybe they don't know, by the way. Maybe they know something is going to happen and they don't know when they're going to happen. But they're just trying to cover their bases, like it's not something to worry about, you know?
Cover their tuchus, yeah. It could be. I don't know. But it's an interesting time that we live in. And,
Did you hear that in California, this was from, I think it was Judicial Watch, Americans should be really concerned about dangerous biological research labs that they've found in California that are being run by Chinese nationals. And it's not just that these labs are in California, but apparently they're substandard labs, meaning there's the controls you have in a normal research facility, these labs don't have. They got dead mice, you know, the research mice lying all over the place, and they're not protecting the neighborhood, so to speak, from any problem they may have in this biolab. And why the Chinese would have biolabs in our country, first of all, you know, we have them in other countries, so I guess we shouldn't be that surprised. You know, they're buying up property. The Chinese are buying up property all throughout the Midwest. We've talked about that on our program before.
Yeah.
So you can't control what they're doing, and they buy in many cases. They buy this property right next to a major military installation. You would think that somebody in Washington would say, "Hey, wait a second, that's verboten. That's not to be done." They were, you know, kind of lackadaisical with their labs in Wuhan, so I guess they figured, well, let's be lackadaisical out in California. Hey, speaking of being lackadaisical, they found in a bathroom below the Senate floor, meaning it wasn't like under the floorboards, down a level below the Senate floor, or maybe it was the House floor, Congress's. They found a copy of a resolution to vacate on a baby changing table, you know, really? And it was written by Matt Gaetz, and I thought, wow, it was also dated September 15th, so they're making a big deal. But I'm thinking that maybe Matt Gaetz might have left it there intentionally and then signaled some reporter, go down to the restroom and look at the changing table, you know, because it's like a shot across the bow to Kevin McCarthy. We've got it all written up and ready to go. If you don't start towing the line, we're going to present this to Congress. It's like I said, House resolution to vacate the chair, the Speaker's chair, and that would actually, if it were to pass, that would remove Kevin McCarthy from the Speaker of the House of Representatives, which is, you know, well, you know,
we've got a government shutdown looming, and apparently 5 Republicans, is it, that went over to the Democratic side over the budget.
Amazing. Write those names down.
Yeah.
Right, and then primary those people because they're not reliable.
No,
you know,
and you know what? I'm not a fan of Kevin McCarthy. I'm not a fan of a lot of politicians, but you know, Republicans need to stick together like glue. If they don't, we're in a race of time, and time is running out. Now, you look at the Hunter Biden and Joe Biden thing. Okay, we've indicted Hunter on the gun crime. Probably in the scheme of things, it's not the biggest thing out there. You know, it's a way of saying we're doing something, and I guess that's Weiss that's doing that. Mm-hmm. But Congress has given us all this other information that we never knew before about Joe Biden and Hunter and that crime family, and it is a race. But those are the big potatoes. But I'm looking at the clock ticking. It's like, guys, let's get together and get this show on the road. Otherwise, this is a race of time. It's going to run out.
This is what Matt Gaetz is complaining about. As a matter of fact, I have his audio from last week. Right. I should run Matt Gaetz on the floor of the House of Representatives.
On this very floor in January, the whole world witnessed a historic contest for House Speaker. I rise today to serve notice. Mr. Speaker, you are out of compliance with the agreement that allowed you to assume this role. The path forward for the House of Representatives is to either bring you into immediate total compliance or remove you pursuant to a motion to vacate the chair. We have had no vote on term limits or on balanced budgets as the agreement demanded and required. There's been no full release of the January 6 tapes. As you promised, there has been insufficient accountability for the Biden crime family. And instead of cutting spending to raise the debt limit, you relied on budgetary gimmicks and rescissions so that you ultimately ended up serving as the valet to underwrite Biden's debt and advance his spending agenda. Mr. Speaker, you boasted in January that we would use the power of the subpoena and the power of the purse. But here we are, 8 months later, and we haven't even sent the first subpoena to Hunter Biden. That's how you know that the rushed and somewhat rattled performance you just saw from the Speaker isn't real. At this point, during Democrat control over the House of Representatives, they had already brought in Don Jr. 3 times. And we haven't even sent the first subpoena to Hunter Biden. Power of the subpoena and power of the purse. Only thing the 118th Congress is known for at this point is electing Kevin McCarthy Speaker and underwriting Biden's debt. And unfortunately, there's only one of those things we can remediate at this time. Power of the purse. Our leadership right now is asking us to vote for a continuing resolution. A vote for a continuing resolution is a vote to continue the Green New Deal, a vote to continue inflationary spending, and in the most troubling of fashions, a vote for a continuing resolution is a vote to continue the election interference of Jack Smith. Mr. Speaker, we told you how to use the power of the purse. Individual, single subject spending bills that would allow us to have specific review, programmatic analysis, and it would allow us to zero out the salaries of the bureaucrats who have broken bad, targeted President Trump, or cut sweetheart deals for Hunter Biden. September 30th is rapidly approaching, and you have not put us in a position to succeed. There is no way to pass all the individual appropriations bills now, and it's not like we didn't know when September 30th was going to show up on the calendar. I must be better. You must be better. And this House must be better, for it is the last best hope for tens of millions of Republicans. We demand real oversight against this weaponized government. Just look at the bribery. If tens of millions of dollars flowing from foreign corrupt people into the bank accounts of the Biden family wasn't enough for actual impeachment, why were we even looking? Joe Biden deserves impeachment for converting the vice presidency into an ATM machine for virtually his entire family. We all see it. We all know it. Now, moments ago, Speaker McCarthy endorsed an impeachment inquiry. This is a baby step following weeks of pressure from House conservatives to do more. We must move faster. Now, I will concede that the votes I have called for will likely fail. Term limits, balanced budgets, maybe even impeachment. I am prepared for that eventuality because at least if we take votes, the American people get to see who's fighting for them and who's willing to tolerate more corruption and business as usual. Mr. Speaker, dust off our written January agreement. You have a copy. Reflect on the spirit of that agreement and build on the start that we had moments ago. Begin to comply. No continuing resolutions, individual spending bills or bust, votes on balanced budgets and term limits, subpoenas for Hunter Biden and the members of the Biden family who've been grifting off of this country, and the impeachment for Joe Biden that he so richly deserves. Do these things or face a motion to vacate the chair. And let me alert the country, a motion to vacate might not pass at first, but it might before the 15th vote. And if Democrats bail out McCarthy, as they may do, then I will lead the resistance to this uniparty and the Biden-McCarthy-Jeffries government that they are attempting to build. I know that Washington isn't a town where people are known for keeping their word. Well, Speaker McCarthy, I'm here to hold you to yours. I yield back.
Wow. I think that's one of the finest moments. And I got to tell you, I've vacillated back and forth on this whole thing. I hear somebody like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who actually is in support of the inquiry, the impeachment inquiry. She's actually on the other side of the table from Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz wants to have a vote now or vacate the chair. None of this, no more inquiries, no more hearings. Cut to the chase, because the Democrats, they impeached Donald Trump in 12 days.
Right. They impeached him, though, without really any information or made-up information. Now, I will say with the inquiry, we've gotten a lot of information. We took too long getting to this point. And don't forget, don't think Weiss is going to do anything. He's not going to do a damn thing. So, I'm torn on this, but I do think we need to get moving on this.
I think Bill, Matt Gaetz is, the more I think about it, the more I think he's right on the money.
Well, I think we should. We should go.
And the clock is running out. I mean, if you look at the
clock is running out.
If you look at this like a football game, we're in the fourth quarter and we're down to the 2-minute warning. We can see 2024.
Democrats have already telegraphed what they're going to do. They've already telegraphed. Go ahead, impeach.
Yeah, but what Matt Gaetz is saying, and I agree with him, is that even if he loses, the American people will see who the people are that can't be counted on. Who are the phony Republicans who blocked this, right? But even if he said we lose in the first vote, which indicated he would do exactly what he did in the speaker nomination process,
right?
He'll keep offering the House resolution, meaning if it's turned down the first time, he'll present it the second time. If it's voted down the second time, he'll do it again on the third time. He said, "I may not win on the first vote, but I may win on the 15th," which is something to consider. I think maybe we're at a point right now, and it might be good for Trump too, that we get a vote, done. Get a vote done.
Mm-hmm. Well, I agree. We should get a vote done, because either way, the Democrats are going to do what they're going to do. And they've already embraced the fact that Kamala may be their gal for a while, and that she's ready for the presidency. And, of course, right now, the liberal media is out there. The stories have been negative for Joe. Negative story after negative story after negative story after negative story. And amazingly, earlier this week, they started going, well, what is it, MSNBC? They're claiming that Biden has inspired America and improved it. Trump took down democracy. Biden has rebuilt our stance on the world stage. And I'm going, MSNBC apparently hasn't been paying attention to the news as of late, but they're making this stuff up, and everything is.
They probably have AI writing their news copy. But Janet Yellen, for example, she's on the world stage. She's speaking in an interview, and she's talking about, listen to this, the robust U.S. economy that Biden has put together. Listen.
Look, we still have a good, healthy labor market. Consumer spending remains quite robust. We've seen strong industrial production. I don't see any signs that the economy is at risk of a downturn. And this is the best of all worlds to see.
She is absolutely out of touch. She has no idea what she's talking about. We are in an economy that is in free fall. I mean, look, for example, the strikes, for example, that are happening in Detroit with the auto workers. People may say, well, that's just over, a raise in hourly wage or something, or better benefits.
No.
It's an indication of the health of the industry. That's what it says to me. It's got incredible problems. She also said something which drove me nuts, Bill. She talked about gas prices. Listen.
Well, the president wants to make sure that gas prices remain affordable for Americans. Americans care a great deal about the price of gas. They're still down $1.20 off their highs last summer, although they have gone up recently.
Unbelievable. She
is gas. Bad gas.
What she didn't tell you was, yes, the price is down from last year, the high of last year.
But it was the highest it ever was last year.
Joe Biden created that high, and it's still like $1 and a half higher than Trump's price when he left office.
How much is a gallon of gas right now?
It's 2 something or other. I think maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was 3 something or other. I'm looking for the article.
It's 3 something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
230. It says here. It says researcher pointed out gas was $2.39 a gallon when Biden took office. That's from Trump, and and today it's $3.88. In fact, gasoline has surged to as high as $6 a gallon at times under Biden's leadership. So with Trump, it was $2.39 when he left office. Biden raised it to almost $6 in some places, and today it's $3.88, and they want you to be happy about that.
Mm-hmm. There was a point when gas actually went under $2 during the Trump administration.
Yes.
And they're trying to figure out why Trump's polls are doing so well. And the only reason for that is, and the main reason is, people are reflecting. And they're reflecting because it's not so long ago that Trump was in the office. So it's not hard to remember, wait a minute, I remember getting my gas for $1.89 a gallon.
Sure.
Or even $2.36 a gallon. I would gladly go back to that right now if I could, because today, or yesterday I paid $4.98 a gallon. That's a far cry from what I was paying before. And people are looking back. The Democrats are saying you have more money in your pocket, more goods on the shelves. I was in the store the other day. They've reduced the amount of aisles they have because they don't have as much stock to make it look full. And even then, there were empty spots on the shelf.
So you're saying that they took, if they had 5 rows of food before, they took one of the rows out and made the aisles wider?
Right.
Oh, wow.
Because there's an old thing in retail, and I know this because I worked in radio, and sometimes in between jobs, you'd do something else, like manage a Walgreens or something, which I did do.
Yeah.
But the old adage is you can't sell empty space. So when you've got a lot of shelf space, but it's empty, you ain't making no money. And plus, people walk in and they go, wow, look at all that empty. So they leave.
Yeah.
So, that's the old thing. Yeah, you pull your product forward. You make everything look nice and neat and like you got a lot of stuff. Come on in, man. We got great deals.
We're supposed to believe.
We don't have that now.
We're supposed to believe that this bumbling, mumbling guy has his handle on the steering wheel, and he knows where he's taking us. This was Biden this week speaking in front.
He's driving through the crowd. He's Mr. Magoo.
This is Biden speaking at the UN. The UN, United Nations, in front of the General Assembly. Listen to how he sounded.
Now, even as we evolve our institutions and drive creative new partnerships, let me be clear. Certain principles of our international system are sacrosanct.
Did you understand a word of what he said? The only thing that I heard him say was, "Let me be clear." And then everything else was, well, listen again.
Now, even as we evolve our institutions and drive creative new partnerships, let me be clear. Certain principles of our international system are sacrosanct.
Now, if you say, Jim, that's only one sentence. You picked out one sentence. I mean, it's a speech. It was probably half an hour long, right? I mean, he couldn't have done it in another spot, could he? Listen.
Simply put, the 21st century results are badly needed. They're needed to move us along. That starts with the United Nations. Starts right.
You know, understand, he's speaking to people who, for the most part, speak other languages, right? So to follow along, even when you understand what he's supposed to be saying, is difficult. Can you imagine the blank looks that must have been on the faces of the people in that crowd? I mean, the guy he's mumbling it. He's an embarrassment, folks. But the sad part about it is he has his hand on the nuclear trigger. He's the guy who has he carries the football with him wherever he goes, the nuclear football. He has control of our destiny right now. By the way, it's not, in my opinion, it's not a legitimate control, but that's just my humble opinion. I think it was a fraud. I think that, we get back to the PA, Josh Shapiro, the governor, making it easy for everybody in PA to register, because when you register to get your license, you'll also be registered to vote, too. Well, what if you got your license 40 years ago or something like that? And I'm just saying, there's so many. It is such a corrupt thing that they're trying to pass off to us as being legitimate. We're going to make it easier for you by putting mail-in ballots. You'll be able to just drop your ballot off in these different boxes around the state, and you won't have to go to some long line and wait in a hot room to go over to a machine to enter your vote. You can just throw it in a mailbox on the way to Walgreens or Walmart or CVS or whatever. This is how they hook you. They think that they want you to feel like they're making a convenience. They're making it easy for you to do something, when in reality, they're stealing your vote, they're stealing your decision, and they're corrupting elections. That's what happened in 2020. Hey, you can't tell me. John Fetterman, right? John Fetterman, are you trying to tell me this guy should be a U.S. Senator? This is John Fetterman yesterday. Listen.
What do you say to that?
Well, her platform, really, she runs on more and more dingling, picks, on in the meetings over in Congress. So again, I'm not really sure why she cares how I dress, but she really takes it a different way.
Now that one I got to hear again. I'm sorry, folks. I got to hear that again.
What do you say to that?
Well, her platform, really, she runs on more and more dingling, picks, on in the meetings over in Congress. So again, I'm not really sure why she cares how I dress, but she really takes it a different way.
Understand something, folks. We're in a terrible state in Pennsylvania right now. We have a Josh Shapiro who's trying to corrupt our elections, and we have John Fetterman, as our U.S. Senator, who is supposed to be representing us. He walks around looking like he's getting ready to break into a convenience store with his hoodie and his baggy shorts. And do you know what else happened yesterday, or the day before yesterday? Chuck Chuckles Schumer, right, the majority leader in the Senate, instead of turning around to John Fetterman and saying, "John, look leave a coat and tie in your office."
Oh, he's going to change the dress code.
That's exactly right. No, we're not going to make John do the right thing. We're going to make it so the entire U.S. Senate adjusts to this slob. And by the way, you can't call him anything else but. I heard somebody say it. I didn't realize this. The guy doesn't shower too. I mean, that's
I've
a little almost.
Too.
That's almost like too much information. So apparently,
it's like deodorant and.
Oh my gosh!
There's certain parts of the body that just get funky, and I've heard that too, that he's not a good guy to be around. I guess there's a reason why they never show distant shots of him where they get the full body, and they just kind of do close-up shots because they don't want you to see his knuckles dragging on the ground when he walks along.
He does look like, though, is it Uncle Festus on the Addams Family?
Oh, he does, yeah. Dum-dum-dum, boom, boom. Yeah.
Well, and then we have John Kerry, who reminds John Kerry. Remember John Kerry, the president?
Yes.
He reminds me of Lurch from the Addams Family. But so we have we're getting the whole Addams Family thrown into the political arena. But anyway, so John Fetterman is talking gibberish. Joe Biden is talking gibberish. And I was thinking maybe they both understand each other. I'm just saying, Now, on another different topic, I got to play this for you. This is a good cut. This is Sidney Powell, they're presenting her case to Georgia. Right, they're getting ready, I guess, to try it real soon. But her lawyers are ticked off. And I'll tell you why her lawyers are ticked off.
What?
They have asked for evidence that the prosecution has because they have a legal right to get that information, and the prosecution has a legal responsibility to supply that evidence.
Yeah.
And it ain't happening. I want you to hear this this cut. This is Sidney Powell's attorney, young guy, very sharp guy. I mean, this guy, he looks like he was picked out in central casting. Handsome guy. He's making his case in front of the judge. You would think that he was reading it from a script at a Warner Brothers backlot. And I think his name is, I could be wrong, I think his name is Smith. I have it here written down somewhere on one of my little pieces of paper somewhere. But, of course, when I want to find it, I can't find it. But anyway, he is Sidney. Yeah, his name is Ray Smith, and I believe he's Sidney Powell's attorney. And if I were in a situation like Sidney Powell, I think I'd want this guy to represent me. Listen.
I've been in this case probably for a month. And on August 30th, shortly after I got into this case, I sent a very detailed Brady request to the government. Those Brady obligations, as Your Honor knows, are independent of their discovery obligations as it relates to this hard drive. They have a due process obligation to turn over to me favorable information. And I didn't send them some blanket request saying, give me everything under the sun. It was a very, very pointed request on August 30th that addressed two critical issues for Ms. Powell. That is, number one, that she wasn't behind this incident in Coffee County, which forms the basis of her inclusion in this indictment. And number two, that whatever happened in Coffee County, there's ample evidence out there that it was authorized. Okay, so I've asked for that very specific evidence. In response to my letter on August 30th, I heard nothing from the state. And so this week, I sent a even more tailored request, a copy of which I can provide to Your Honor, asking for very specific information because I've spent the past month or so trying to figure out what happened and have gathered ample evidence showing those two things, that Ms. Powell was not behind all of this and that it was authorized. I filed a motion last night that sets out all the evidence that I've been able to find on my own, which I hope the state has, okay? But the most important thing that I found, Your Honor, is a report by CNN, which I've been able to confirm, that there is a letter of invitation from Coffee County on January 1st of 2021 that was sent, and it was sent not to Ms. Powell. It was sent to another lawyer, inviting folks to come down to Coffee County and do whatever it is that they do. What does that establish, Your Honor? Two things. One, what I've been saying since last week in my severance motion, what I said in my motion last night, what I'll keep banging the drum on, which is this was not Ms. Powell. That's number one. But number two, that this was authorized. It was authorized, and I have asked for that. I have not asked for 8 terabytes versus discovery. This is a handful of documents. We got 8 lawyers sitting on this side. I'm pretty sure they know how to attach a document to an email. But in response to that email that I sent this week, like my letter I sent in August 30th, I heard squat from the state. So they sit here and say, Your Honor, that they are open and they're going to turn stuff over. I have been as clear as day about specifically what I'm entitled to under the Constitution, due process, Brady versus Maryland, independent of any discovery obligations they have. That is exculpatory information that establishes that Ms. Powell should not be in this case. They have it, Your Honor. I have a reason to believe they have it, and they don't even respond. I have a motion. I'm going to file it. I'm going to ask for this relief. But I shouldn't have to file it. If this were in federal court, Rule 5, Your Honor would issue an order upon arraignment, ordering them to turn that material over because they have to. They don't have a choice, and they haven't done it here. I'm concerned. I practice mostly in federal court with federal prosecutors who know that. I have concerns that Mr. Wade and the other folks on this side don't appreciate their Brady obligation. So I'm asking the court to order them to produce Brady material immediately because they're required to. That's my point, Your Honor. I'm concerned. I raise it with Your Honor, and you'll see it in my motion.
That's so well done. You know, Sidney Powell is an excellent lawyer on her own, but I think she comes from the school where, you know, the old adage, show me a lawyer who represents themselves, and I'll show you a lawyer who has a fool for a client. She believes, I'm sure, that the best thing to do is get the best representation away from herself, you know, who can be her sort of neutral advocate. But she's the attorney who got General Flynn exonerated, you know, Mike Flynn. And so she's no slack, and she knows how to pick him. I think she did a good job on this one. But what gets me is the brazenness of Willis, Fannie Willis, in her office. I mean, this guy says it's your responsibility to hand over evidence that you have against my client. It's just
she's not going to.
Yeah, she doesn't do it.
No, you're going to have to rip it out of her hands. I mean, you know, what you talking about, Willis? Well, she's talking about the fact that she's mad. Well, she's mad because she wanted to lump them all together and try them all together because it would have been an easy sweep, and it would have been easy to lay down all their bogus information on them and just, you know, make it a big, massive fell swoop. But when Trump won the right to be separated from, that gives Cindy Powell and the other attorney a chance to separate, and they represent Trump. And anything that they do, and it's going to be a lot easier to get things thrown out or win things. And if they win them,
yes,
that's got to have the filter down effect.
Absolutely. I was thinking the same thing. Trump's attorneys will benefit from their successes early on. It's going to make it harder and harder for Willis and her crew to have success in an honest courtroom.
This is a roundup and a firing squad. Willis, you know, with the guns, the firing squad. We don't need no stinking court case here. Yes. Forget the laws. We're just going to line them up against the wall. Do you have anything?
Yeah, this is how they act, though. You know, they had this. Well, they're doing this up in New York. I mean, that whole sham of a lawsuit that was brought up by Bragg. You know, we've forgotten Bragg. He's still sitting out there, friends. He's going to rear his ugly head in the not too distant future and try to bring Trump down. It's going to happen there. And, of course, Smith is going to try to destroy Trump in Washington. This is their plan. They can't beat this guy in the playing field of an honest election. They've got to beat him some other way. I do think this, and somebody said this, and I think it's so true. I think the left realizes that the support for Trump right now is so massive that this, even if they cheat, even if they get all of the systems to work for them, it's just too much. It's too overwhelming. They won't be able to keep up with the number of people who are going to support Trump in 2024. So if you can't beat him in an election, you got to beat him someplace else. You got to beat him in these phony courtroom situations.
Yeah, and I also believe that's why they're out there trying to build up Joe and talk about, oh, what a great economy. And, you know, he's made America look good in the eyes of the world again because Trump didn't. I'm like, here's a stumbling, bumbling fool, Mr. Magoo, and he's going all around. And everybody's laughing at us. If you go and read, if you do a little online searching, you can go to social sites in Australia, the United Kingdom, every damn country that's pro-U.S. and anti-U.S., and the underlying thing there is that Joe's an idiot. And
he's Bill's exactly right.
And the American people are stupid to put up with this, and they can't see what's going on. Folks, we're blind to our own.
But yet I saw on Monday Night Football for the first time a Joe Biden for president commercial, and they made him out
a little early.
They made him out to look like George Washington. They made him out to look like Moses, who had parted the waters, how he's turned our country around, how our economy is robust and growing, how people are excited about the future of their great nation. It was such a blatant lie, one lie after the other. How we felt good about our borders. I mean, it was like, you got to be kidding. Everything he's done wrong, they've turned around and made it sound like it's been a win for him.
They're lying about it. Well, Joe, he knows. He knew Washington. Joe knew Moses. I didn't know either of them because I wasn't around, but, I read about him. And Joe ain't no Moses, and he ain't no Washington. I'm just telling you right now, to take a Democrat's words, he's neither of those.
I heard him say the other day, after I got done with, I used to go to early Sunday Mass, 7:30 Mass, and when I was left Mass,
backslider,
I would. No, this is what Biden said, and then he says, then I would go to, I'd go over to the Jewish temple and spend an hour paying my respects, and then of course honest to God, this guy, he has no problem embracing every nationality and every religion and making it his own, or at least his own story.
Well,
he
was born a poor black child. I don't know if you knew this.
He was. I've heard that. Anyway, we've done it again, Bill. Another show in the can. If you want to reach us, our phone number is 833-538-7868, 833-538-7868.
And then, of course, there's mail at itsanotherday.com. There's also Jim and Bill at mail.com. And then there's mail at jimandbill.com.
We've got it all covered. Now, I have to tell you something.
Really
Bill and I were talking before the show about our reach. And it is quite amazing how many people are actually tuning into our program. We've asked some of our listeners, all of our listeners, if you would take a moment to maybe go to one of those email addresses we gave you. What were they? Mail at itsanotherday.com or Jim and Bill.
Look, the two simple ones to remember are mail at itsanotherday.com and mail at jimandbill.com. Either of those two will get there. The other one is just a fun little thing where you have Jim and Bill at mail.com in case you're dyslexic.
Okay, now here's the thing, though. If you would drop us even a blank email, even if it's just a reply email that's empty, we will know that you're listening to the program and responding to us. Now, we say this because Bill found out our reach is unbelievable. We're reaching places that we never thought we'd reach before. Yeah. We run this promo at the end of our show every day. It talks about a massive number that we got from one of the devices, which was just mind-blowing. But we kind of laugh at it like, oh, it can't be true. But we found out from Bill's research yesterday that we're being downloaded automatically by streaming sites from all over the world.
Yeah.
Every day.
So, I'm not going to, and I don't extrapolate. I don't know what people go to those sites to get us, but the simple fact that, we didn't post them on there, and so they did. And, there's been evidence that our site has been getting hit a lot. Now, jimandbill.com, now that I have the AI thing, that'll probably go up sometime this week or by the weekend. And but it's still going to house the podcast. It's just the reason that we did find out people respond more to Jim and Bill than they do to It's Another Day. It's Another Day will always be there. That's the name. We could change it, but it's the day, the name. We got it, and it's built in. But Jim and Bill is, if you go and type in right now on a Google search, just Jim and Bill.
Right.
Boom. We're number one.
That's kind of amazing, folks. We haven't promoted it. People are just finding us. And the fact that we have a lot of sites, I'm talking loads of these different streaming sites. What they do is automatically send out programs that find out if we have updated our website with a new episode. And as soon as they find a new episode, they download that episode so that it's on their site too. That from that point on, we don't get a count of who's listening, because it's being streamed.
Yeah, and you ran into look, we're both old broadcasters, and you got a friend at ABC News that's listened, and he goes, "Oh yeah, you'd mentioned." He said, "Oh yeah, you guys," and he's a liberal.
Yeah,
but he commented on the show, talking about it's a good show, and he knows about it. It's kind of like when I used to program and had a talk station, and it was conservative, and the guy was a friend of Rush. They worked together in radio.
Sure. I know you're talking about.
I had a guy one time call to complain. Well, this morning, your guy said this, and the other day he said this. I don't know how anybody listens to your radio station.
Well, thanks for listening.
I've got a list here. I got a list here of all the things he's done in the past month, and I'm going, thanks. He goes, what? I said, thank you. What do you mean? Well, you have a record of everything we've done. Yeah, I do. Then you listen. Huh? You listen. Got you. Yeah. I got you. And he goes, and then he backed down and he kind of went chagrin and laughed a little bit. He goes, I get it.
But
I'm going, glad you do.
We have people out there who you don't have to agree with us. But and what I respect about you who don't agree with us, who listen every day, is at least you're listening to other sides to the story. We obviously come from one side. We're conservative guys. We believe in God, country, apple pie, and Chevrolet. But
something to that effect.
Yeah. And we're not into this woke stuff. And a lot of people who are into that stuff still listen, which I think is amazing. Anyway, we've done it, my friend. But the real reason why the people are downloading and listening to our program, it's because at the end of every program, we hear this.
Hasta la vista, baby! We're out of here.
The voice of freedom, CRN America. These days, when you want an answer about just about anything, you ask Alexa. You ask her about the weather. You ask her who won your favorite sporting event. You ask her to find a fact that you can't find anywhere. Well, we did that too. We asked her how many people have downloaded it'sanotherday.com. And this is what she said.
From acceleration.com. It has been downloaded as much as 260,433,467 times.
I know. Seems like a lot. Seems like a lot to us, too. But it's Alexa. Thanks for making us a part of your day. And tell your friends about it'sanotherday.com. We could use an extra listener. I mean, what do you do when you only have 260 million?